The silhouette of the Mitsubishi F-2 often leads casual observers to mistake it for the American Lockheed Martin F-16. At a glance, the family resemblance is undeniable. Yet to the engineers at Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and the pilots of the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, the F-2 is a fundamentally different beast. Born from a period of intense trade friction and technological rivalry between Tokyo and Washington in the late 1980s, the F-2, affectionately dubbed the Viper Zero, is not merely a licensed copy. It is a profound reimagining of a lightweight fighter into a specialized maritime strike platform. As Japan navigates a more precarious security environment in 2026, understanding whether this expensive derivative truly surpassed its American progenitor requires a deep dive into the silicon and carbon fiber that define its legacy. The genesis of the F-2 program, known as FSX, was marked by a fierce desire for Japan to develop its first indigenous supersonic fighter. During this era, the Japanese bubble economy was at its peak, and the nation's confidence in its high-tech manufacturing was unparalleled. However, political pressure and the complex security alliance with the United States led to a co-development deal based on the F-16 Block 40. For the Japanese public, this was initially seen as a bitter compromise, a handcuffing of domestic genius. But Japanese engineers used the F-16 blueprint as a canvas for innovation rather than a strict set of instructions. They took the Viper and infused it with the Zero spirit, aiming to address the specific geography of an island nation, the need for long-range maritime interdiction, and the ability to operate over the vast, unforgiving stretches of the Pacific Ocean. Technologically, the F-2 achieved several world firsts that even the United States military watched with a mix of admiration and apprehension. The most significant of these was the integration of the JAPG-1 and later the upgraded JAPG-2, the world's first active electronically scanned array radar to be installed on a production fighter aircraft. While the American F-16s of that era were still relying on mechanically scanned arrays, which were slower and more prone to jamming, Japan pushed the envelope of gallium arsenate semiconductor technology. This allowed the F-2 to track multiple sea and air targets simultaneously with a precision that was unheard of in the 1990s. For the Japanese audience, this radar represents a pinnacle of domestic electronics, a testament to the fact that Japan could outperform Silicon Valley in the specialized field of miniaturized high-power circuitry. This technical overkill was a direct response to the threat of encroaching naval fleets, a concern that remains at the absolute forefront of Japanese defense discourse in 2026. Physically, the Viper Zero is larger and more robust than any F-16 ever built. To accommodate the heavy workload of carrying 4 massive anti-ship missiles, a feat the standard F-16 struggled to achieve without compromising airframe stress or range, the F-2's wing area was increased by an astonishing 25%. This increased surface area provides superior maneuverability at lower altitudes and speeds, which is critical during low-level maritime strike profiles where pilots must stay beneath enemy radar horizons. Furthermore, the F-2 pioneered the use of co-cured composite materials. By baking the wing skin and the internal spars together in a giant autoclave, Mitsubishi created a structure that was lighter and stronger than the traditional riveted aluminum wings of the F-16. This was a masterclass in Japanese material science, proving that the nation could innovate even when restricted by international treaties and political boundaries. One of the most sensitive and historically significant points in the F-2's history was the fly-by-wire software crisis. During development, the United States government, fearing the loss of its strategic technological edge, refused to share the source code for the F-16's flight control system. This move was intended to keep Japan dependent on American software. However, it had the opposite effect. In a display of sheer technical grit and national pride, Japanese engineers at the Technical Research and Development Institute, TRDI, developed their own flight control laws from scratch. This was a monumental task involving millions of lines of code and thousands of hours of wind tunnel testing to ensure the inherently unstable airframe would not crash. This digital sovereignty is a key reason why the F-2 is held in such high regard by the Japanese defense community. It represents an absolute refusal to be a secondary power in the digital age. However, the pursuit of this perfect machine came at a staggering financial cost that still sparks debate today. Critics often point out that each F-2 cost approximately $127 million per unit, whereas a contemporary F-16 could be acquired for $40 to $50 million. For the Japanese taxpayer, this price tag was a heavy burden, earning the aircraft the nickname the world's most expensive F-16. Yet, a more objective perspective reveals that this cost was not just for a plane, but for the preservation of Japan's entire aerospace industrial base. By developing the F-2, Japan maintained the skilled workforce, the specialized factories, and the engineering knowledge necessary to keep its domestic defense industry alive. This investment is paying massive dividends today as Japan takes a leading role in the Global Combat Air Program, GCAP, to develop a sixth-generation fighter alongside the United Kingdom and Italy. Without the F-2, Japan would have lost the ability to build its own future. From a performance standpoint, the F-2's specialization as a ship killer is where it objectively outclasses the American original. The F-16 is a jack-of-all-trades, an exceptional multi-role fighter that excels in air-to-air dogfights and general ground attack. The F-2, conversely, was optimized for the anti-access area denial mission. Its ability to carry the ASM-2 and the newer supersonic ASM-3 missiles, which can travel at speeds exceeding Mach 3, makes it a primary deterrent against hostile naval incursions. In 2026, as maritime tensions in the East China Sea and around the Nansei Islands reach new heights, the F-2's specialized role appears more prophetic than ever. While an F-16 might be a better choice for a desert dogfight over land, the F-2 is the superior guardian for the turbulent salt-sprayed waters of the Japanese archipelago. It is a scalpel designed for a specific surgery rather than a Swiss Army knife. We must also acknowledge the evolution of the F-16 itself to maintain an objective stance. The latest American iteration, the F-16V Viper, has closed much of the gap. Equipped with the APG-83 scalable agile beam radar and advanced Link 16 data links, the modern American Viper has reclaimed much of the technological ground that the F-2 once held exclusively. The F-16V is a testament to the longevity of the original design, but it still lacks the F-2's unique airframe enhancements, the larger nose cone, and the specific maritime-first DNA that makes the Japanese aircraft so iconic. To the Japanese pilot, the F-2 feels more stable, more planted during heavy weapons delivery, and offers better visibility through its unique three-piece canopy, designed to withstand bird strikes during high-speed, low-altitude flight. As we look toward the 2030s, the F-2 is beginning to enter its twilight years. The Japan Air Self-Defense Force is already planning for its successor, but the F-2's contribution to Japanese security cannot be overstated. It was the platform that proved Japan could stand on its own feet. It forced the United States to respect Japanese engineering as a peer, not just a customer. Every time an F-2 takes off from Misawa or Tsuiki Air Base, it carries the weight of decades of industrial struggle and the pride of a nation that values Monozukuri, the art of making things with soul. In conclusion, the debate over whether the F-2 surpassed the F-16 cannot be settled by a simple comparison of top speeds or turn rates. In terms of cost efficiency and global versatility, the F-16 remains the most successful fighter in history. However, through the lens of Japanese strategic needs and technological ambition, the F-2 is a resounding success. It took a proven American design and infused it with the spirit of Japanese craftsmanship. The F-2 Viper Zero stands as a bridge between the legendary Zero fighters of the mid-20th century and the stealthy AI-driven future of the 21st century. For the audience in Japan, the F-2 is more than a weapon. It is a symbol of a nation that refuses to be just a follower, ensuring that its skies and seas remain under its own watchful high-tech eye. It remains, even in 2026, the ultimate expression of Japanese aerial sovereignty.